Welcome to Cambodia Business Week with your host Anthony Galliano here on Radio 1 FM 103.7.
Good morning, Cambodia. It's 3 minutes after the hour, and you're listening to Cambodia Business Week. We have a jam-packed show today. We have 3 guests. We're going to try to manage it all in 1 hour. So we're not going to waste any time. We're going to go right to it. The first guest is Antoine Jeanson, who is the Operations Director of Audi Cambodia.
Hi.
Good morning, Antoine.
Good morning, Anthony. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on Saturday morning. It's always a little tough.
That's all right. That's all right.
Well, welcome to the show. We've had some guests on in the past on the luxury end of the cars in the market, and we're very interested in hearing about Audi. But as always, we want to know a little bit about you first.
Sure.
So tell us about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm from northern France at the beginning, and I've been working outside of my country of origin for the last 10 years.
Well, you look very young. So
yeah,
did you leave when you were 18 or?
I left. Yes, 20. Yeah,
20.
So,
okay. That's Antoine. You look like one of these guys that will never age. Actually.
Thank you. Let's meet each other in a few 20 years or something. You tell me the same thing.
I hope I'm still alive. All right. So you were from northern France. Where did you go to school?
I went to school in Paris first, then in Beijing, China, and then back to France. And
you went to school in Beijing. What brought you to? What interest did you have in going to China at such a young age?
It was back in 2005,
right.
And so China was really developing like crazy, and I had no idea about what was going on there. So I said to myself, "This is where you want to be." And this is where you want to learn how things are changing in this world. Yeah.
So did you learn Mandarin?
Yeah, but I forgot totally everything.
That's a great skill to have. All right. So what did you get your degree in?
Economics. Yeah.
Economics.
Yeah.
So economics and being the operations director for a luxury car, has it helped you?
Yeah, definitely. It helps because when we come into a country like Cambodia, usually we are pioneers. We're among the first ones to arrive. So you need to have a broad understanding of what's going on into the country. And you have sales manager for sales, you have service manager for service. So these guys are really specialized in what they do. But as an operation director, you need to understand the thing as a whole. And I think having these skills in economics helps you really to summarize what's going on into the country and how to handle it, how to understand really what's going on. Yeah.
Okay, that's fantastic. I would ask then, what was your first job?
My very first
Your
job?
very first job. It's always interesting when you have your first job.
It didn't last long, but I was working in the telecoms in France for something like Vodafone. It's called SFR.
And Vodafone, I guess, what year was that?
2006 or something.
So that was the real mobile phone boom at the time, right?
Yeah, and home internet. Yeah, when the people get equipped with boxes that do everything. Right. I was in the.
It's a crazy market, telecoms, right?
And really not my thing. I can really understand that people love this kind of environment, but not for me. Yeah, I was working in a tower in the city in Paris, and really being behind walls 24/7, not my thing.
So do you have when did you first have this feeling you had a love of cars?
I think I was born with it.
Right.
Yeah, we're coming from a petrolhead family, so I think maybe I was conceived in a car, and then I got born in a car, and I've been in the car, and then all my life has been in link with cars. I have some family who are in rally driving, so I've just
so you had this passion for cars.
Oh yeah.
So you remember Matchbox or the Hot Wheels?
Yeah, that helped a lot, I guess.
You were a big fan of
big
those?
Fan. Yeah.
Okay. And when you first, you were in telecoms. What did you start doing after that? What in your career?
My very first job was not. After that was not in the automobile industry. I started by supplying the hospitality industry in all sorts of F&B products, so food and beverage, imported food and beverage, and that was in Hanoi, Vietnam.
Okay, so what brought you to Hanoi, Vietnam?
Really opportunity. I was looking for a job, and this was the job I found. Yeah.
Okay. And how did you find Vietnam?
Vietnam is nice. Yeah, it's
Hanoi is nice.
Hanoi is nice.
It's a really nice town.
Yeah, and it has this kind of dual thing between a very traditional part of the city and traditional mindset of people who are living there, and also, as the rest of Southeast Asia, it's a booming country in terms of economics. So there are plenty of things going on. It's very exciting. Yeah.
Very culturally positive as well. There's a lot of painting and arts scene there
definitely.
as well.
And it's been like that for a very long time. It's a very rich city in terms of culture. Yeah.
So after Hanoi, it was Cambodia, right?
Saigon first,
Saigon?
and then Cambodia.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what brought you to Cambodia?
Audi, yeah. I was working for Audi in Ho Chi Minh City, known as Saigon for some other, and I was opening some new dealerships for Audi in Vietnam, and the obvious next step was Cambodia. So we decided to open a dealership here in Phnom Penh, and that finally opened in 2014, at the end of 2014.
Right. You have an incredibly large showroom. You want to tell the folks where it is?
Yeah, so it's on Mon Vong in the south of Mon Vong. We're in the south of BKK1, so next to the Vietnamese embassy. So that's where we're at. Yeah.
Okay. Now, describe the Audi brand, because I think you want to get the wording right on this, because it's a luxury brand.
Yeah, it's a luxury brand. There are many other out there. We try to differentiate ourselves by being sophisticated, progressive, and there is also a great attention to technology, to sportiness. That's a mix of all this. Audi is really a blend of sophistication, progressive-ness, sportiness, technology.
I always personally thought, from the States anyway, that it was sort of a family car as well, because I remember these sort of station wagon that were very popular in the U.S.
Yeah, definitely. And even now, many of our customers really choose our car not only for the fact that it's a premium car and it's comfortable and it looks nice, but also because it's very practical. If you take our Q7, which is one of our best-selling car here in the kingdom, you're having 7 seats, you're having all sorts of practicality, and yet it's super comfortable. And it's
I want to dig a little deeper into that, because we know BMW came in. Obviously, Porsche came in. We had Michael on the show. He did a great job. And I think at least the Porsche would probably be a niche car because of price, and maybe also because of what the brand represents, which is like speed and
it's a really sporty brand.
Right. Now we know Mercedes as well. We have Rolls-Royce here. Yeah. Where does Audi fit in as a luxury brand between all of those brands?
So, it's more or less the same everywhere in the world. Cambodia is no difference. We are directly in competition, I would say, with BMW and Mercedes, and where we try to differentiate ourselves is really in terms of branding and what we offer to our customers. If Mercedes has a very conservative positioning, so you can see it in the design. It evolves very slowly, and it's a very traditional brand. It has over 100 years of history. BMW is really on the business side. You know, it's you want to know you have a BMW, right? And Audi inside of that is trying to be the low profile brand, but super high quality and great products for our customer. It doesn't have to be show off. It doesn't have to be traditional.
Now, one of the things I remember about Audi is also safety.
Safety is a key in all European brands, and I think that's important to state that.
And what is different about how the car is constructed that it makes it safer?
Einstein created the law of relativity, right? And it's a mix between speed and mass, so weight, if you want to say. The heavier the car and the faster you're going, the more energy you're going to have to disperse during an accident. So our cars are among the lightest in the market. And
that makes them faster as well,
It
right?
makes them faster, right. But it also makes them safer, because if you have a lightweight construction properly done, with the right materials in the right place, you have a very safe car because it protects you where it needs to, and it absorbs energy when it has to in a crash, for example.
Okay, we're going to go into the models that you have, but let's. I wanted to ask also the car market here. It's not. I mean, you've been a little bit of a spokesperson about this as well.
Yeah.
It's really still a used car market.
Yeah. Cambodian market is roughly 90% of used car that are actually imported as used.
Now,
which
how does that compare with Vietnam or China? Is that the same?
No, Cambodia is still one of the very last country in the region that has no regulation on used car import.
We're gonna have to talk to Kunmakara about that when he comes on. But why is that? Is it just to make things affordable?
I think that's part of the thing. It's also maybe a strategy that's been going on not only with automotive products but also with plenty of things. You can buy everything secondhand, imported secondhand washing machine or clothes or whatever.
So imported secondhand washing machine.
Yeah. There is everything in
There's
Cambodia.
life after somewhere in the U.S. and Europe when these things are just
exactly.
about had it. They bring them here.
And if you look at the value chain of a used car product in Cambodia, if you take used car automobiles, usually they arrive in very poor condition. They've been stored in the U.S. in the open, and they've covered in dust. They have everything to be redone. So you already have a first step, which is importing the car, which and you have to pay tax. So that's the first piece of the value chain.
You have to pay tax on a used car import.
Yeah, 137.5%.
That's crazy.
So if you have a 15-year-old Camry, which maybe is worth $500 or $1,000 US in the US, then it's going to be imported here, and you're going to have to pay tax a lot more than actually what you would think.
And then you have this whole fix-up cost and profit margin.
And then you fix up, and then there is the trading thing, and then once you own the car, it looks great on the first day. It looks like in a pristine condition at the showroom or in the open shade roadside garage where you purchase your car. But actually, when you look at the structural integrity, the age of the parts, you are about to experience a large number of repairs. Every single week you're going to have to stop by a garage and get that fixed. So
we got a conundrum, right? We have this issue of having a marketplace which is affordable, I guess, for people to buy cars. And then you have this issue, if you cut that off, will people be able to afford cars?
Yes and no. The thing is that today, with a few thousand US dollar, you can get a car. But when you look at the cost of maintaining it and having it on the road, at the end of the year, you've maybe spent twice as much as what you expected. So that can really be discussed. I mean, you can argue about the fact that it's affordable. Yeah, it's affordable to buy it from the dealership, from the showroom, wherever it is. But then the cost of maintenance is so high, and the cost of safety is also very high. These cars are not roadworthy anymore.
Okay. So that's why we see in the streets of Phnom Penh and obviously in Cambodia, we see a lot of cars aged. I mean, like 2001s and 1998s. This is unusual for a country, right?
And that leads to a really large number of issues. So you have safety, because usually these cars have been involved into accidents in the country where they come from. So the structural integrity, the seat belts, the airbags, all these kind of things are maybe not good to be on the car anymore. And the other thing after that is, in terms of economy for the country, it really pushes forward the informal economy. So because most of these resellers are not registered, their staff is not registered, they pay little tax on profit, they pay little VAT and this sort of thing. So it's also a huge loss for the country, for the society. Yeah.
So where do you think it's going to go? I know that there's a little bit of lobbying going on.
We work hard with all the other brands in order to try to explain how things works in the automotive industry, because that's a complex industry, from metal sheets to an actual final product. There is a very long value chain with many different things, many standards, many many stakeholders into this thing. So first we try really to explain how things works and how things works in other countries. What are the best practices in Southeast Asia? Because there are countries that started like Cambodia a few years ago and that today have a healthy automotive market. And so there was a transition and some of these countries have done it properly.
Okay.
So really being educating is the first thing.
Okay. Let's talk about Audi because
Yeah.
it's very important we get that part in.
Sure.
Sure. So you have these models that I think the question I would like to ask before that about the models is, it seems like what people wanting to choose is very different than what they've chosen in the past. People want bigger cars now. I guess it helps that the oil prices dropped significantly and it's now more affordable in a sense to drive them. But it seems, especially in Asia and in the markets I've been in, people like big cars. Is it because people spend most of their time in traffic these days?
That's part of it, certainly. And that's also because owning a car is also an image of yourself. You project yourself into your car, and when you go to the restaurant with your friends or when you're invited to meet them at the weekend, and if you arrive in that car and not that car, it says something about yourself.
And that's why we have all these huge cars on the streets of narrow Phnom Penh.
Yeah, exactly.
And which creates terrible traffic. But it's funny because you'll see a lot of 1990 Lexuses, which is kind of
in terms of environment, that's
terrible.
pretty much the worst you can get. Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about the models. I'll defer to you. You have A6, A7, A8,
Yeah.
Q5, Q7, and TT.
Correct.
Let's go through them quickly.
Okay, so our two main models at the moment are the Q7 and Q5. They are very well adapted to the market. They're SUVs, they're four-wheel drive, they are big, they are very comfortable, and so these are really our best sellers. The third in line would be the A8, which is our luxury sedan. It comes as a long wheelbase version, so it's really the biggest car you can buy from Audi, and inside it's pure luxury. You have massage seats for all four seats.
Massage seats.
Yeah, you have really everything you can expect from a car in that range. The A6, the A7 are like sedans. On the A7, I think is for me the best looking car at Audi. It's a coupe long wheelbase limousine, so it has a look like no other. And the A6 is the thing that made Audi. Audi and the A6 is possibly the best selling products worldwide of Audi, because that's a very comfortable sedan, very practical, low consumption, nice looking. I mean, that's really an important model for Audi. Yeah.
Okay, so it's for a listener, let's say, who's just about to go out and buy a car, and he's got the money, because that's the important thing to start with.
Well, we have bank loans. So,
you do have bank loans. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we work with several banks well established in Cambodia. So when a customer needs a loan or wants a loan, we are able to really just make a call, having a representative from the bank coming directly to our showroom and explain their products and make sure you get the right installment for your car.
Okay, that's wonderful. So I have a possibility of buying a car with a bank loan, which is great. I'm looking at BMW.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Mercedes. I'm looking at Audi. And I know you're not a car salesman, but if I was walking in the Audi showroom and I'm telling you that I'm debating these three cars, what would you say why you should buy the Audi?
It really depends on the models. If you take our Q7, for example, which is really an important model for us here in Cambodia, our two direct competitors have cars that have been created several years ago. So they are lagging a bit behind in terms of technology. Q7 is the freshest model in the range, and it has all the new stuff that you want to have in your car. It's a very lightweight construction, very powerful engine, and you have all the infotainment system that you want to have in the car. It's very well isolated from the outside.
Very safe.
Yeah, and very safe. Yeah, but that I can't say anything about Mercedes and BMW. They're also very safe.
I think that's a very important component of the Cambodian car market, because accidents is still the the largest cause of deaths in the country. Besides your medical conditions, but that's car accidents are a huge problem here. So to be safe, possibly, even if it's not your fault. Let's talk a little bit about your service center, because that's a big part of your...
we have two businesses here at Audi.
Right.
We sell brand new cars, and we make sure we maintain them properly, so they can remain on the road as long as possible. We also service Audi cars that have been brought into the country before we arrived, or as used car, as we mentioned before. So we really cover the full range. If you have an Audi car, you can come to Audi official showrooms. So and that guarantees you that your car will be taken care of by real professionals, people who have been trained by Audi in Germany, in Singapore, where we have our technical hub. And you get genuine spare parts, you get proper diagnostic, and that's really an important piece of our business.
Okay. So the last question we always ask every guest: what do you love about Cambodia, and what would you like to see improved?
What do I love about Cambodia? Only one thing. There are many things, but I love the people. I've been very, very welcome into this country with all the people I know from Cambodia. Are really made my life easy and very nice into this country. So definitely, I think the people are great here. The things I'd like to see improving, possibly the way the automotive market is doing, and maybe see the end of used car import.
Well, it's a wonderful car, and I've visited your showroom. It's amazing, beautiful car, and it's state-of-the-art service center as well. It's huge, and anybody's thinking about buying a car, stop in and say Antoine. He'll welcome you and tell you all about these wonderful models: the A6, A7, A8, Q5, Q7, TT. They're all there. We wish you best of luck, Antoine. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Anthony.
All right,
Thank you for having me.
We'll return back in about a minute or two with our second guest.
Thank you.
You're listening to Cambodia Business Week with Anthony Galliano and his business friends on Radio 1 FM 103.7. Radio is the only truly mobile medium. In the car, at work, and at play, radio is there. The companion and the advertising force your customers take with them wherever they go. To advertise with Radio 1, contact our sales department at 023 432418. That's 023 432418. Or email info@radio1cambodia.com. Remember, radio advertising works only on Radio 1 FM 103.7. Welcome to Cambodia Business Week with your host Anthony Galliano here on Radio 1 FM 103.7.
Apologize for cutting the song, but we have a pretty full show today, so we're going to get right into it again. We're going to be talking to one of the famous restaurateurs of Cambodia, who's had a restaurant where I'm sure everybody's at least had the lunch special, because it's one of the most popular, if not the most popular, lunch specials in town, and great, fantastic dinners as well. Frank Sampere of Open Wine. Good morning, Frank.
Correct. Good morning, Anthony.
Good to have you.
Nice to be here. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, Frank, how do you explain the popularity of your place? Why people love it so much?
Well, difficult to explain, actually. It remind me a story, like few years ago, my friend Darren and Lumeng made a book, The name is Top 50 Table Cambodia. And I was in it. And I remember because they had a short interview, And I say sometimes you can get the right place, the right food, the right service, the right price, and it doesn't work. So, I don't know. You need something more. But don't ask me why, because since 20 years I am in the business. I don't know.
Okay. Let's ask you first, where are you originally from?
Well,
where did you grow up?
I was born in Toulouse, southwest of France. Not that far from the Pyrenees chain mountain, so Spain, yeah.
The Pyrenees?
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
So you a little bit mixed Spanish, French?
Well, yes, yeah. Spanish from the side of my father, and then Italian from my mom, yeah.
Okay. So where did you go to school?
Well, in the southwest, so in Toulouse, I made basically 2 catering school. 4 years in Souillac, which is in Périgord, one of the most famous catering school in France. And then after my bachelor degree, I went 2 more years in the one in Toulouse. And then to make myself happy, I finished with a year of wine waiter and sommelier and œnologie course.
Okay. When did you first have the passion for the love of food?
Well, I have to say it's it's that simple. My father was a cook and he was teacher of cooking. So since I guess I'm 5 years old, I know how to set a table and how to make an omelette at 6. I mean, that's very important. I mean, the way you eat when you're a little boy, I guess.
Okay. And how important is food in the French culture?
Extremely important. Extremely important. Yeah. That's one. I guess with
Antoine
the car.
shaking his head. You know? Absolutely. The Italian culture as well.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Correct. Yeah.
All right. What did I'm always interested in because I worked in the restaurant industry a little bit when I was in college. I was lucky to work in some very high-end restaurants in New York, and there's characters. I mean, there's absolutely characters. I found that everywhere I've ever worked, that I found the most interesting people in the restaurant business. I guess going to school, there's must be to teach the importance of cooking and the importance of service. There must be some interesting teachers you came across.
Yeah, right. And especially it was around 20 years ago. Now it's a bit more different. But at that time, all the teachers we had, they had a big past in the job properly. They worked really in restaurant for many years actually. So we had some very hard characters actually. It's a tough job, I have to say.
So what was the most interesting teacher experience you had?
Well, it's I don't know if I can say this on air, but when I say it was tough, it was tough. I mean, sometimes it goes with a punch and stuff like this.
Those are the old days, Frank.
Yep, it was.
Those was the old days.
Today, yeah.
When teachers were able to hit you with rulers and things like that.
Yeah, correct. Now today it changed a lot, and especially our work as well, because I think we need it. That's why even in France we have a lot of difficulties to find staff today, because people don't want to work in this kind of industry because it's extremely tough. But
very demanding.
Yep. Very demanding. It's a very tough job, but it's changing, hopefully.
Okay, so tell us about some of the places you worked early in your career, because you have to start out somewhere, right?
Yep, correct. Yeah, I used to work quite a lot in Monte Carlo, in Monaco. Yeah, then I did a few Michelin stars, but basically, actually, I always work in the southeast of France. I work in Glasgow as well, in the Marriott Hotel, in Scotland, obviously. But in France, actually, I've never worked in Paris, for instance.
Okay.
No.
So you worked in the beautiful, like Nice and...
Correct. Monte Carlo, Nice, Toulouse, Périgord, voilà.
Right. And you were a chef?
Yeah, well, I did 7 years, so I learned basically everything about the hospitality industry. So service, cooking, wines, then management, obviously, later after the bachelor degree, right? Management, marketing. I have to be extremely honest. At the first, I was more like a maître d' and sommelier. And then since the school is very important, I have strong basics. And then after, when you want to come back to the kitchen, it's extremely easy.
Well, I have to say, one of the attractions, obviously, to your restaurant is not only great food, great service, but also you greet your guests, and all your guests know you as well, right?
Yeah, it's a bit like that, and especially for lunch, actually, what you say, because lunch is like more international. I have to say, dinner is more casual with a lot of Asian people, so I act a bit different on dinner.
So you got these skills, I guess, over the years as being a maitre d', which is very important to be customer friendly and making sure the customer is very happy.
Yeah, that's correct.
So you've taken those skills to your owning a restaurant as well.
Correct. Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about Open Wine. You're in a partnership.
Yep, we are 2 people, Philippe and myself. Yeah.
Right. And when did you open?
We made the 10 years anniversary of the restaurant a few months ago. Yeah.
Okay. And is this what brought you to Cambodia?
Yep. Yeah, we came with my partner. I was in Hanoi. Same with Antoine. I had a restaurant over there, and I think you had lunch and dinner over there, Antoine, right? And then my business partner was in the wine industry, and he wanted to leave Vietnam. He made me a proposition, and then we left.
And why did you choose Cambodia?
Well, I have to be extremely honest. My partner spent longer than me in Vietnam, and he told me it felt like Hanoi 15 years ago. So you have to be the first, right? You have to start. You understand what I mean?
Right,
Yeah.
right. So, how was it like when you first came here 10 years ago?
Wow, it was like a desert. I mean, it's amazing. Even myself, I live here every single day. I'm seeing new outlets opening everywhere. It's crazy. But at that time, it was like a couple of restaurants, you know.
Right. I came here 8 years ago. Yeah, I mean, it was Metro, and that was
and I did.
Open Wine and a few others. But now you have incredible amount of choice. Was the market ready when you first came here 10 years ago for a high-end French restaurant?
Yes, actually, yes. For this kind of stuff, yes, because we had directly the high-ranking Khmer, if I may say. So yeah, it had a market already. Maybe fast food, not yet, which is now developing everywhere. But at that time, yet, actually, it was ready already.
Okay, so describe your menu. What type of food do you have?
So obviously it's a French restaurant and
Right.
only French. Okay, I don't propose any pizza, any. Voilà, I don't mix. You go in a French restaurant, you eat French food, and you go and blah, blah.
Fair enough.
So basically,
And that's interesting because a lot of high-end restaurants have pizza on the menu. I never
or
understand that.
Khmer dishes or whatever. I mean, no, you concentrate on what you can do, and that's it.
Right.
Enfin, that's my point of view. So we have the business lunch, obviously, which is, I think you told, a good value, I guess. And we have to say on dinner it's more.
So now it's $16 and it has
Correct,
3
yeah.
dishes and a drink, right?
No, 3 dishes. That's it. 3
Okay.
dishes, VAT included.
Yeah, there you go. Paying tax.
Yeah,
I love
obviously, obviously,
it. Okay, so the lunch special very popular in town.
right?
Why is your lunch special so attractive to? Besides being great food,
I guess because we were the first restaurant to propose. At that time, it was $10, then $12, then $16. We were the first restaurant to propose a full menu, a la carte menu, for your lunch. I mean, it seems very simple, but actually we were the first one to do it.
Right.
So I get the people obviously were happy with the food and the service and the venue, and then after, if you continue with the same quality, it's still working,
and it's a business lunch, really, right? Most people come there for.
Yeah, actually, yes, yeah.
Okay, and what's on the menu? What's generally your best dishes? The ones you personally like?
Well, for the lunch, I like many things, but I have to say we have our own butchery, so obviously we have a good meat quality, and butchery and delicatessen as well. I mean, you can try many things, but
What do you recommend?
well, if you want to eat that, for example, yesterday I had a poached sea bass with scallops, cream sauce, and
Wow.
some zucchini tagliatelle. Very
Wow.
nice, very light. It's good to start the afternoon. Yeah.
And you have some incredible goat's cheese.
Right, this is a special one. Yeah, the one you had the other day. It's directly imported from France. It's not always on the menu.
Delicious.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Delicious. So you have different crowds for lunch and different crowds for dinner.
Correct.
What is the difference with the night crowd?
Well, I always say I have 2 restaurants. I have the one for lunch and the one for dinner because actually it's totally different. Many people from lunch, they barely or never come for dinner, and the opposite is right as well. And for lunch it's very international, but since a year I have to say we have more and more Asian people. And for dinner, obviously, it's Khmer people, Chinese and Japanese mainly.
Okay. What are the most important things about running a restaurant? Consistency?
Yeah, correct.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No problem.
But I'm French. Yeah, this is for me the most important thing. I mean, you can cook very good one day or 1 year, but if you don't keep the consistency in the service and in the quality of the food, you're just dead. And that's actually very difficult to do.
Okay, now you have to ask because you run your restaurant. We all love your restaurant. What are your favorite foods? What are your other? What I always find interesting about restaurant owners is that you tend to see them in other restaurants for dinner or just to try out the competition. So where do you go yourself when you don't want to be in Open Wine that day?
In Phnom Penh?
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I have a few restaurants I love to go. I want to say hello. I like to go to the Deli, which is a French restaurant. A friend of mine, Mr. Pierre, who is the chef. I like to go to La Résidence as well.
Okay.
Topaz, obviously.
Right.
We have all good relationships actually between us.
Sure. You can't eat, look. You can't eat at the same place every day.
Yeah, definitely,
Right. So
definitely.
you need to try out other.
Definitely.
Right.
I even do my bread, and I buy bread from other
Right.
company for my house. You know what I mean? Right.
And what is your favorite dish outside of your restaurant?
My favorite dishes outside the restaurant. Oh, it's very difficult to say, Anthony. I don't have any idea. I don't know.
You're
But
not like a
maybe-
good Italian like me when I want to go and have
don't know.
spaghetti and meatballs or something.
Maybe the one I've never tried yet. I don't know. I don't know. Really, honestly.
Now, where do you like your Italian food?
I do love Italian food.
Yeah. Where do you go in Phnom Penh for Italian food?
I like Pop Cafe.
Yep. Absolutely. Giorgio.
I used to go a lot to Luna do Tono, but my friend died a few years ago, so Gino, rest in peace. Where do I go again? It's not
All
bad
right.
already.
And Chinese food? You like Chinese food?
Alors, my wife, I think, is listening to me. I don't want to lie. I'm not that much into Asian food, actually.
You have a Asian wife,
Yeah, she's Khmer. Yeah.
right? And you don't eat Chinese food. And
Well-
I mean, you have to eat 1 or 2 days a week.
But
That's an insistence if you have an Asian wife.
Actually, if I have to choose an Asian food, Chinese would be my number one.
In Japan, there's a lot of good Japanese restaurants opening up, right?
Yeah, alors Japanese restaurant, I do love to go to a samurai.
Samurai.
They make teppanyaki,
Right.
which is perfect for me because I'm not onto sashimi or sushi. It's not my stuff, and I go to go there. It's owned by a couple of Khmer French from Nice, actually,
Right. Okay.
and it's a very very beautiful restaurant and high quality products. Yeah.
All right. So what goes getting back to your restaurant and being a chef? What goes into making an excellent dish? Where somebody, you know what I like? I like to be wowed.
Mhm.
If you love food and you really eat high end food,
Mhm.
you know we're both a member of the chain, so we know that we love gastronomic cuisine. What makes you say wow to a dish?
Well, for me, first one is a product. To have a good dish, right? To have the result, a good product, a good seasoning, and a good cooking, which is actually very difficult. You know, I'm not that into sauce. Are extremely important in the French
Sauce.
food. Very important sauces. I'm not into nouvelle cuisine or fancy stuff. You know, it's not my kind of stuff.
You said you're a traditional
Yeah,
person.
you
right?
have. I mean, when you make a dish, you have to isolate the main product. You want to eat lamb, you cook lamb, and then you add 2 or 3 stuff around, and that's it. You don't have to put like 5 different spices, or I mean, when you're talking about French food, this is the way I see it. Voilà.
All right. And what is the favorite dish in open wine? What the most people order most?
Well, we have obviously a signature dish, which is la côte de bœuf, the rib of beef for dinner, because we work with the same farmer since it's a local beef. We work with the same farmer since 10 years, and we age properly in our cold room around 3 weeks. The côte de bœuf, the rib of beef, with just a very good béarnaise sauce, gratin dauphinois or whatever. It's very simple but extremely tasty. Then after, sometimes also I do special dinner. You will see, because soon I think we're gonna host La Chaîne des Rôtisseurs as well.
Okay.
This one I'm working a little bit more on the detail and stuff, but the product, seasoning and cooking, that's it. You want to make people happy? That's it.
Simple, traditional,
Definitely.
and which is great. You don't need the nouveau cuisine. You leave to the other guys.
Sure. I mean, you always can make some innovation and stuff, but you always have to concentrate one product and 2 stuff around, and that's it.
Okay, so we're both members of the chain, which is very demanding and challenging when you have to cook for them. How do you prepare for that type of crowd? Because it's going to be a lot of scrutiny. Everything you serve, they're going to be comparing it to all the other chain dinners we've ever had.
Well, so it's for me. I didn't host them yet. I think it's going to be beginning of next year, something like that. I have to call to Lumeng actually. I think you have to do it seriously, but if you put too much pressure on you, the people, they will see this on the plate. You have to stick on your food. Tomorrow, when you will come to Open Wine, I will host the La Chaîne des Rôtisseurs. I will not make a Joël Robuchon dinner. Otherwise, you will be totally lost. You say, what is it? So be serious, but don't put too much pressure on you, because you will feel it. The customer will feel it.
All right, we're going to ask you a little bit of a fun question here, because we again, I worked in restaurants, and I told you I've come across incredible characters, especially customers or even the owners. But what was your most challenging customer experience?
Do you mean the most challenging is like
Somebody who was a very difficult customer.
the most pain in the ass? That's what you mean?
Yeah,
no? Right? Correct?
Pain in the A, yeah.
Oh, Actually, this is a good question because I have to say, compared to France, in Cambodia, the customer and the Khmer people, because obviously this is the country of Khmer, they are extremely good customer. They barely complain,
But you have a lot of French expats here, right?
It's a
Who,
bit,
and you know what? When I have lunch or dinner with a French person, they always everything has to be perfect, and if it's not,
yeah, but French people, when they come in a French restaurant, they know the food better than the chef, obviously. So it's okay. In that case, I just go back in my kitchen and that's it.
I'm going to tell you how particular a person. I had a Belgian French guy.
Right.
That when I used to work for Citibank in Brussels, we used to go to Luxembourg a lot. And I remember eating in Luxembourg once, and who was my boss at the time was having an absolute fit and arguing with the waiter, the maitre d', the manager came, and I just asked what was it wrong, and he said this glass is too thick to serve this wine.
Right.
And that's amazing how
Yeah.
people are so serious about food and wine.
Yeah.
So you haven't had any of those.
No, I guess I have plenty in my mind, but I forget them. It's better.
Okay.
It's a better way.
And what was your best customer experience?
In Phnom Penh, the best customer experience is when we have some Khmer customer and they open a bottle of Chateau Pavis and you sit down with them to drink the wine, and that's a very, very good experience.
Well, it goes on to my next question. Are Khmer's appreciating fine French food and wines?
Yep, actually, yes.
I don't want to encourage any more restaurants to come in, but
No. They do love it, and sometimes people say, but the Khmer from France. I say, no. All the Khmer, they love it. They love the good food and the good wines. They are wine drinkers and meat lovers.
okay. And is the restaurant market too crowded now?
Oh, yes.
So
Yeah.
how does one stay above their head above water with all these fine restaurants?
Well, I guess we open 10 years already, and we try to improve all the time. We try to improve the quality, so that's why we opened 10 years ago. I wish a very, very good luck for the one who opened now or 1 year ago or next year, because obviously, I guess the restaurant market is too crowded. Maybe the car market is too crowded. I don't know. I don't. Well,
So keeping your loyal customer base is essential.
It's essential. Obviously, you have to get the other ones as well. But when you open 10 years, it's might be a bit easier.
Okay. And what are your future plans for the restaurant?
Well, actually, we would like to extend. We would like to open.
Because you have a bakery and a butchery now,
yeah,
right?
this
So
one
you're
I
getting
have-
into the wholesale market.
Yeah, only for the wholesale market. But we would like to open maybe some VIP salon. But it costs money, So if any banker listening to the radio, just give me a ring and
Well, there's a lot of venture capital money coming in. Last question, Frank.
Sure.
What do you love about Cambodia? What would you like to see improved?
Well, I guess my wife. Hello, darling. I do love this country, especially for the people, I guess. And what I would like to see improve, I don't know, maybe less car in the street. I don't know. I'm joking.
Antoine doesn't go like that. Well, look, shout out to the wives, because one thing about Cambodia, you have a wife that's very supportive, and,
Sure.
and mine is extremely supportive
Sure.
of our business. We absolutely love them to death. Thank you very much for being on the show,
Thank you very much.
and I'll be on next weekend for another lunch.
Okay, sure.
Thank
you, Anthony.
All right.
You're listening to Cambodia Business Week with Anthony Galliano and his business friends on Radio 1 FM 103.7.
Hello, I'm Alina.
And I'm Quinn. We are listening to Radio 1 FM 103.7.
You can't watch TV driving a car. You can't read a newspaper driving a car. About the only thing you can do in a car is listen to the radio. Research proves that car radio regularly reaches consumers within 2 hours of their largest purchase of the day. There's no better time to reach customers than on their car radio, while they're driving to your store, bar, restaurant, or place of business. Radio sells with immediacy. To advertise with Radio 1, contact our sales department at 023 432418. That's 023 432418. Or email info@radio1cambodia.com. Remember, radio advertising works only on Radio 1 FM 103.7. Welcome to Cambodia Business Week with your host Anthony Galliano here on Radio 1 FM 103.7.
We're back. It's 10 minutes before the hour, and it is a jam-packed show today. Antoine and Frank, great job. We're going to go on to a completely different topic. One of the most successful journalists, business editors, news persons in Cambodia. I'm welcoming Kunmakara, who's the business editor of the Khmer Times, who's really coming up in the world, right? The Khmer Times is really coming up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, Anthony.
I'm very happy to have you on the show.
Thank you very much to be interviewed by you.
Well, we've had Jim on the show before he left, and he's actually come back, and so we've had some good insights about the Khmer Times. But tell us quickly about the Khmer Times.
Actually, I just joined Khmer Times for more than 1 year.
You came from the Post?
Yes. Before I worked for
There's a
the
little bit
Post.
of an exchange program going on there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah. And since we joined, we change a lot of things in Khmer Times, like the content, and we try to get more good people to come in to improve the quality of the paper.
Which has improved a lot. I mean, when you're now, I guess, almost 2 years. How long has the Khmer Times been
Khmer
in?
Times right now just come to the year 3. Yeah.
Year 3 already.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, year 3.
And it kind of started out a little slow. I mean, took some time to the
Yeah,
market to adapt to it.
Sure, because we are new in the market and we try to improve our base.
But your circulation is huge now, right?
Yeah,
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. And tell us about yourself. You're Cambodian, obviously.
Yep.
Where were you born? Where did you grow up?
I was born in Svay Rieng province,
Okay.
where close to Vietnam. Yeah. And then I moved to study at the university in Phnom Penh in 2002. And I finished in banking and finance. And I took some course in journalism skill.
Right.
Yeah, inside Cambodia and outside Cambodia as
What
well.
attracted you to being a journalist?
It's come by chance, I think. Actually, previously I worked for as the financial officer in one private company, and then I jumped to work for a Japanese company, and then they run 3 language magazine. And at the time, when they see my CV, and they say that I can write, and then start to write it.
Right. Because your English writing is superb, right? So
Yeah.
how did you develop your English skills so well?
Because normally at the time I try to look at a lot of newspaper and like Vice news, and then we try to learn the skill from that as well.
Okay. So how did you start out effectively in journalism?
I started in the field of journalism in 2006. Yeah, and up to now. Yeah.
So you've been in the game 10 years.
Yeah.
Wow. And what was it like when you first started? Because it's a little bit more relaxed now, I guess. But it was a little tougher then, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Because I've been working in the media for about 10 years, and especially in the economic section. And I see now.
It's a little safer to work in the economic section, right?
yeah, very safe.
Is it? I mean, one of the things. So you worked you also worked at the Post, right?
Yeah.
What did you do at the Post?
Also the business editor there, and I've been there for about 7 years, and then I moved to Khmer Times.
A quick shout out to the Phnom Penh Post. They had a great finishing post last night at the Saka. I enjoyed it a lot, so we got to give them a thank you for that. But Khmer Times, when did you actually move to the Khmer Times?
I moved to Khmer Times last year.
First year.
Yeah.
So you got poached, as we say. You got stolen from the Phnom Penh Post. I mean, it's normal in this industry. You go after talent. So so the Khmer Times must have thought very highly of you to bring you over.
Yeah.
As the business editor, which is a pretty big position, right?
Yeah, sure, and also big responsibility as well. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
One of the things that I noticed is you guys do report a lot of business news, and sometimes there is a lack of or scarcity of business news out there. I guess maybe it's not, but maybe sometimes businesses don't like to talk about what they're doing.
Sure.
So is it hard being on the business beat to get business news?
I think it's a bit hard, because if you compare to the national news, everything happen every day. But if you look at in the business news, and Cambodian market is very small, economy is small. It's cannot compare to other country like Thailand or Vietnam. There's big. and so we try our best to see what's happened in the world, and because we are open to the world, Cambodia. So
I think it's fine that international businesses, which it's all over the place and it's not hard to find. But
Yeah.
I'd love to see more Cambodian business news.
yeah,
And is there a development of at least getting companies to talk more about what they want to do? That's why we do this show,
Yeah.
really, because I mean it was very hard to get English-speaking business news. Let's say.
yeah,
So we decided to do this show to deliver business
Yeah.
information as best we can. How do you get your business news?
One thing we generate by our own idea some point, and another thing we also come up with some others news that happen in the world and related to Cambodia, what's affect to Cambodia. So we try to generate something like that. And for Khmer time, is my focus is try to produce as much as I can for the local news, something that happen to or affect our local people. That is the news. And at some point we also got some difficulty to talk to like some other businessmen because they are too busy, I think. So
well, too busy, but maybe they don't want to talk about
yeah,
it.
and they also don't want
That's
to
a
talk.
kind way of putting it.
Yeah.
I think the big issue is that we don't have really publicly listed companies.
Yeah,
And publicly listed companies have to disclose to their shareholders
Yeah.
what they're doing financially or a whole bunch of things, obviously. So with what do we have now? 3 or 4 publicly listed companies?
for company. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, if they don't have to publicly disclose, then most of these are family-owned businesses, right? Or
Yeah,
tightly held. So they really don't like to talk too much about what they're doing.
Sure.
Which is unfortunate because that creates a lack of businesses. So what are the bigger business news stories of 2016 so far?
At the moment is mostly agricultural sector and the financial sector, because
What's going on in the agricultural sector?
as you may know that since the government launched the right export policy in 2012, a lot of investment into the industry, and at the moment the industry lack of a lot of fund to buy the paddy from the farmer, and they also have to improve their milling capacity as well. They have to improve their quality and to compete to with other challenger like Myanmar, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So the government's encouraging further investment in the sector.
yeah. The
Well, what's
government
happening in the
encourage-
finance sector besides a crowded bank and
Yeah.
microfinance market? Are we in a credit bubble? It's all talk this morning
Yeah,
about
all
credit
stuff.
bubbles, credit bubbles.
Yeah.
Are we in a credit bubble?
I don't think so. You know why?
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, I think the real estate market obviously is a huge story this year. And we're hearing now that there's a lot more bank lending going on
Yeah.
in the condo market. And is this a scary time?
I think the development of the construction sector just only mainly happen in Phnom Penh, and if you look at the people rising of the middle class, they still need, some house to live, and for condo development or apartment development, they just target for the foreigner.
Right.
And for me, because of the development right now, mostly they depend on their own budget.
Right.
Their own money. I don't think there is anything to get collapsed.
What were the more toughest stories you covered this year?
Which one?
Any stories that were difficult to cover?
Difficult to cover is
That you published, sorry. Not getting you in any trouble.
in the financial sector, because most of them also don't want to talk to the media.
Why?
And I don't know. Because just some point they don't want to release something. But the financial sector is the most clean sector. And the other thing, because of the CEO or managers too busy, I'm not sure. Just only a few people that they are open to meeting.
I get the feeling that companies are afraid to talk to the press. These guys, I think that sometimes they feel that they may say something that's silly and get their careers in trouble. Is that also
Yeah.
a concern?
Yeah,
Perhaps.
I think so.
Well, sometimes the press gets it wrong, right? So even when you interview somebody, it doesn't actually come out what they thought they were going to get. So you get a complaint sometime for that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think one of the other stories this year is the telecom market.
Telecom market, yeah. Telecom market. I think the telecom market over the last few years there is some issue, but right now it's too much.
Very competitive.
Yeah, very competitive. Yeah, And
Could you cover the what was it, the M phone, right? Was the M phone bankruptcy?
bankrupt.
That was a big issue, right?
Because if you learn the last few years, there is the big issue about the pricing war.
Right.
Yeah, they compete each other and something like that. And right now we have the telecom law that can manage the industry. So I don't think there is any problem anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And we talked to Antoine earlier about the car market. Is the car market a big story this year?
Yeah, a lot of the automobile market right now is booming in Cambodia, especially like the well brand, like good model, the brand new is coming. I think not too much here. I think the brand new market will be bigger because the people starting to know about the safety and about the benefit of the new car. Of course, I do agree with Antoine from Audi that he said that the second-hand market is still the big here. Yeah, because of the people income, so we cannot afford with the new one.
Right. So is it hard being a business journalist in Cambodia? Is it difficult?
No, it's not. It's not hard.
I mean, you don't have to. You're not walking on thin ice and stuff, right? It's a pretty open market.
Yeah.
Okay, and the Khmer Times is really tremendous improvement and up and coming.
Yeah.
Great job on getting your circulation up. What would you like to see the next steps for the Khmer Times?
What that I want to see is we do hope that the Khmer Times will improve even more and they will come up with some sort of like digital, because right now a lot of digitals.
Digital's really important now.
Yeah,
right?
really important now. So if we start from now, in the next few years, everything will go smooth.
So where do Cambodians go to get their news? Do they go on the websites or they actually read the physical newspaper? What?
I think for the young people, they normally look at the website. But
You get a lot of hits on your website?
Yeah, right now because we just changed our website recent month, so a lot of hits there.
All right. One of the things I think unfortunately with the news market here is there's a lot of criticism from people out there with the reporting. There's always somebody we call backseat drivers, I guess, but people that think that there should be better news reporting here. Are you seeing a lot of people criticizing the quality of press here?
Of course, because the people when the people they charge normally in different way, and we are also hard into convince them how to make them fair, because sometimes when we do the report we try our best to have question and answer inside the report, so everything has to be balanced. But some other report that they just copy and pass, so it's the risky as well. That's why the reader, they always criticize.
Yeah, well, it's easy to criticize. Anyway, there's a lot of people out there that are criticizing. Sometimes I get it myself. All right, so I want to ask you our last question. You've done a great job. You're Cambodian, so it should be a different answer, I hope. Of course, you love your own people, so
Yes.
What do you love about Cambodia? What do you want to see improved?
Yeah, what I want to see more is whenever that the economy is growing and my people has better income, and I think right now Cambodia is on the right thing, because recently ADB just treat us as the tiger of Asia with our tremendous economic growth over the last 2 decades. So what we want to do to see more and more our economic growth and to attract more investors to create more jobs for the local people.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, we all agree on that.
Yeah.
And what do you love about your country?
My country is I love my people because they are very friendly, and another thing because of my natural resource, everything is good, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very pleased to have you on.
Yeah, thank you
For doing a great. Thank you all my guests, Antoine, Frank, Kunmakara. We had a great show, and we'll see you next week on Cambodia Business Week.
Okay.
We speak to the movers and shakers of the business world. So when it comes to business in Cambodia, look no further than the Cambodia Business Week on Radio 1 FM 103.7.